Long ago, in a fertile and peaceful land called Isusha, there lived a wise and noble king named King Kusi Agyeman. He was not just a king by blood, but a king by heart. He ruled with wisdom, compassion, and unwavering fairness. His palace doors were open to the poor and the broken. His judgments were just, and his generosity knew no bounds. Under his rule, the land bloomed. Traders journeyed from distant lands just to be part of Isusha's growing markets. The rivers flowed freely, the fields yielded crops in abundance, and music of joy echoed through the villages. The people loved their king dearly. Yet despite all the peace and prosperity, King Kusi carried one silent burden: he had no son. No male heir to continue his legacy. So when his beloved queen, Nana Ama, became pregnant, the kingdom buzzed with hope. Royal messengers whispered, "The king's heir is coming." But when the time for birth came, King Kusi made an unusual decision. He gave a command to the palace. When the queen goes into labor, only the royal doctor and Adoma, our most trusted servant, shall be present. No one else is to enter. The reason? He wanted to ensure complete safety and privacy. But more than that, he had a plan, one no one could suspect. That night, under the glow of a full moon, the queen gave birth to a baby girl. The king's heart both lifted and ached. They named her Bohemaa, helper of the people. King Kusi saw something in her eyes, something deeper than any prophecy could predict. But he also saw how the world could be cruel. He knew his people expected a male ruler. He knew how society judged worth by beauty, especially for girls. So he made a quiet decision that even the queen questioned at first. From that day on, Bohemaa was hidden. She was raised in the palace, educated in secret, loved dearly by her parents and by Adoma. But no one else ever saw her real face, not the guards, not the nobles, not even the elders of the kingdom. As she grew, so did her wisdom. She read ancient texts, trained in diplomacy, studied the arts, and listened to the stories of the people through Adoma. She learned not only how to rule, but how to serve. By the time she was 18, Bohemaa had become everything a leader should be. And so, the king prepared a grand announcement. The kingdom rejoiced, the long-hidden princess was to be revealed. At the royal court, trumpets sounded. Dancers performed. Delegates and villagers filled the palace grounds. Then, with a royal robe and her face still masked, Princess Bohemaa stepped forward. But instead of cheers, the crowd whispered. Then laughed. Mocked. "She's ugly," they said. "She's cursed," others whispered. This is the future of Isusha. Their cruel words pierced through the royal air like daggers. The king's heart broke, but he held his calm. He did not reveal the truth, not yet. For this was part of a bigger test. Despite his sorrow, he still hoped. But days turned into months, and no suitor came to ask for her hand. Some feared public shame, others simply turned away. With his daughter rejected and his heart heavy, King Kusi Agyeman made a desperate offer to the kingdom. "Any man who marries Princess Bohemaa shall receive a mountain of gold, and part of Isusha to rule." But even gold could not tempt them. No one came. And Bohemaa, kind, wise, and brave, was crushed. She sat with her father in the palace garden one evening as the sun dipped behind the hills. "Father," she said softly, "love that is but is no love at all. I want someone who will love me not for what I have, but for who I am." The king saw the fire in her eyes, so much like his own. And though it tore at his heart, he did something no other king would do. He let her go. Bohemaa, with her loyal servant Adoma by her side, left Isusha in secret. They dressed in rags, blending in with travelers and traders. They hid their true identities and traveled to a distant land where no one knew their name. But life outside the palace was harsh. They were judged by their appearance. People turned them away. They slept in markets and ate what little they could find. Night after night, Bohemaa held her head high despite the stares and insults. Then one morning, as they sat cold and hungry by the village well, a young man named Dankwa passed by. He was strong, with hands worn from farming, and a smile that carried both warmth and pain. He saw the two women and paused. He offered them food, then shelter, and then a place in his humble home. Dankwa, an orphan who had grown up with little, asked no questions about their past. He simply said, "No one deserves to be treated like this. You can stay as long as you need." Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. Dankwa farmed during the day and cooked for them at night. He asked for nothing in return. One day, Bohemaa said to him, "Let me join you in the fields. I want to help." At first, Dankwa refused. "You are my guest," he said. But she insisted. And soon, the two worked side by side, under the sun and in the rain. Over time, something gentle and true began to blossom. Not pity, not duty, but love. A love that saw past the mask. A love built on sweat, kindness, and quiet laughter. Time passed quietly in the humble village where Bohemaa and Adoma had found refuge. The days were filled with work, the nights with simple meals and warm laughter. Dankwa, though not rich in gold, was wealthy in heart. He never asked about Bohemaa's past, though he often wondered. There was a grace about her, a strength in her silence, and wisdom in her words that didn't match her outward appearance or her worn clothes. He began to fall for her, not because she was beautiful, but because she was good. And one evening, while they were returning from the fields, fireflies glowing around them and the wind whispering through the trees, he turned to her and said gently, "Bohemaa, I do not know who you really are. But I know the kind of woman you are. And that is enough for me." Then he knelt and said the words she had never expected to hear. "Will you marry me?" Adoma gasped softly. Bohemaa was silent for a long moment. Then tears welled in her eyes, not of sorrow, but of relief. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. "But before we marry, you must know who I really am." Dankwa nodded. "Whenever you're ready." Weeks later, the three of them began the long journey back to Isusha. Along the way, Adoma explained the truth, that the woman Dankwa loved was not just any girl, but the daughter of King Kusi Agumen, and heir to the throne of one of the greatest kingdoms. Dankwa was shocked, but not shaken. "She is still Bohemaa to me," he said, smiling. When they arrived, the palace gates opened in surprise and joy. The king embraced his daughter with tears in his eyes, and when he met Dankwa, he saw something in the young man's eyes, a mirror of his own youth, honest, determined, and humble. The king announced a grand wedding, inviting nobles and rulers from all around. The news spread far and wide. But even then, the mockery returned. "The princess is still ugly. Even in royal robes, she looks cursed. How can the king allow this?" But this time, the king stood tall before the gathered crowd at the royal court. He raised his hand, and the noise fell to silence. 18 years ago, he began, "I made a choice. A choice to protect my daughter from shallow eyes and cruel hearts. I hid her beauty behind a mask, not to deceive you, but to test your hearts." Gasps filled the air. Then, he turned to the royal doctor and said, "Remove the mask." And in front of everyone, Bohemaa's mask was taken off. The crowd fell completely silent. Her face, untouched by vanity, glowing with strength, wisdom, and grace, was stunning. Even more beautiful than the legends of ancient queens. Mouths dropped open. Tears filled many eyes, not just because of her beauty, but because of the shame they felt for judging her for so long. The king continued. Those who judged her lost the chance to see the truth. But one man, this man, Dankwa, saw her heart. And so the wedding of Princess Bohemaa and Dankwa was held. Royals came from afar. Songs were sung. Drums beat through the night. But more than the gold, more than the crown, love reigned. And as the years passed, Bohemaa and Dankwa were blessed with 5 children, 3 strong boys and 2 graceful girls. Dankwa, through his hard work and honesty, became a trusted advisor to the king. He helped open trade routes between Esusha and the land of his birth, strengthening both kingdoms. And when King Kusi Agyeman finally passed on, full of years and pride, the eldest son of Bohemaa rose as king, wise, just, and strong, just like his grandfather. But the people never forgot the lesson they had learned. They taught their children. True beauty is not in the face, but in the heart. And true love sees what the eyes cannot.
Thank you for watching the story of Princess Bohemaa. If this story touched your heart, inspired you, or made you reflect, then this is just the beginning. I bring you traditional African folktales filled with wisdom, love, strength, and truth, stories that deserve to be told and remembered. Don't forget to like, share, and most importantly, subscribe to Zamper Folktales so you never miss the next powerful tale. Together, let's keep our stories alive.